So in this short demonstration of the interview service, there are a couple of things I want to show you. First of all, look at the complexity of the service, the number of different actions that you can perform. And they're all interview based, meaning they're all user interface based. The first one is start interview, and you'll notice that I'm starting an interview. It's actually for the project I used in the previous example. So this interview has a data structure to pre-populate it basically does a load of data as well and I'm providing the data in a static format to fire up my interview. And the real specific that you need to think about when working with the interview is that if I now go ahead and start this, everything you see in the response is user interface based. So you'll see it talking about screens, about stages, you'll see it talking about the labels, you'll see it talking about the input values. So this is essentially an XML version of the user interface. So you would need to provide the programming logic that would take this XML and turn it into something else, whether it be a mobile app or a Java applet or a Silverlight applet. It really doesn't matter. It was designed to let you rebuild a user interface. And the other specific that you need to think about is because this is user interface based, that when you run the start interview, you get in the output, you get a cookie, or I should be more specific, you get a session ID, and that all further calls to this interview will need you to call using this. So I'm going to copy the session ID that was given to me. And for example, if I wanted to now use the same interview session, I would need to quote that as part of my request. I'm making not a very good job of actually trying to copy this, so let's try and copy it now. So I'm going to finally get my hands on this JSession ID. I'm going to copy it and paste it into Notepad. And then I'm going to pull out the part that I need, which is essentially the unique identifier. Oops, don't remind me that I've got the equal sign in there and I need to remove it. Let's say I now wish to execute another method. I'm going to use the investigate method, which you can think of, to keep it simple, as moving forward or moving backwards. And I'm going to add the cookie into my request. So by the magic of Hollywood, I've adjusted the session ID, and hey presto, I get a response. And the response is an investigate response that still talks about the data and the screens. Let's do one last one. I'm going to do the end interview. I'm going to need to paste this in. Oops, careful. I made a mess of that. Let's copy and paste again. Better. And because my cookie was included, I can now call the end interview, and essentially that killed that session ID. The point I'm trying to get across is that every single call you make to an interview service needs to have the interview session ID to be able to identify which session we're talking about. Think of this, therefore, as a service to allow you to create a whole new user interface on top of OPA.